From a $4.2 million FTC fraud settlement on a fuel saver, to a throttle body spacer that lost horsepower on its own maker's dyno, Ram owners are getting wrecked by cheap fuel upgrades that do the exact opposite of what the box says. These are the ones that actually work, and 3 of them are free. Number 8. The products that will get you laughed out of my shop. I need to get this one out of the way first because I see this stuff constantly. You know those little OBD2 plug-in chips that claim 35 extra horsepower on your Ram? They are literal fraud. That is not my opinion. That is the federal government's opinion. A company called Fuel Max got hit with a $4.2 million settlement, and the owner got a lifetime ban from ever making fuel products again. Their fuel line magnets did absolutely nothing because gasoline is not magnetic. But the OBD2 chips are even worse because at least the magnets do not break anything. Independent teardowns of those Nitro OBD2 and Eco OBD2 plugs found a tiny chip inside with 3 kilobytes of memory. Your truck's actual engine computer needs over 500 kilobytes just to store its fuel maps. These things physically cannot do what they claim. They are an LED light show in a plastic box that costs $2 to manufacture in China and sells for $40 on Amazon with obviously fake reviews. I had a customer bring one in last year, still plugged into his Ram 2500, convinced his truck felt faster. I pulled it out, we drove the same loop, and he could not tell a difference because there was none. If you want a real tuner that actually reflashes your engine computer, you are looking at $300 minimum for a Diablo Sport or Super Chips unit. There is no shortcut at the $50 price point. If a product promises huge gains for pocket change, it is a scam. But there is one cheap bottle that actually does what it says on the label. Number 7. A $10 bottle that does more than a $200 intake. If your Ram has more than 60,000 miles on it and you have been filling up at whatever gas station is cheapest, there is a good chance your fuel injectors have carbon buildup that is quietly costing you mileage. I have pulled injectors out of Hemi engines at 90,000 miles, and the spray pattern looked like a garden hose with a kink in it. When injectors cannot atomize fuel properly, your engine dumps in more than it needs, and you burn the difference. The fix is stupid cheap. Chevron Techron concentrate, plus runs about $10 to $13 a bottle. You dump it in with a full tank and drive normally. Redline SI1 is the other one I trust, around $12 to $16, and it has more of the actual cleaning ingredient, PEA, than anything else you can buy off a shelf. That is the stuff that actually breaks down carbon. A lot of the other additives on the shelf are mostly solvent with marketing. I personally think Techron is the better value because Costco sells a 6-pack for about $20, which works out to around $3 a treatment. On a Hemi with miles on it, guys on the Ram forums are reporting anywhere from half a mile to 2 miles per gallon coming back after a couple treatments. But that is not a gain, that is restoration. Your truck ran that well. When it was new, it just lost it slowly and you never noticed. But if you already run top-tier fuel like Shell or Chevron every fill-up, do not bother. Those fuels already have PEA in them. This fix is specifically for trucks that have been drinking cheap gas for years. And the next one on this list is a product you cannot even buy anymore because its own maker killed it. Number 6. The throttle body spacer that killed itself. This is my favorite story in all of automotive snake oil. BBK Performance, a legitimate aftermarket parts company, built a throttle body spacer for the Hemi V8 back in 2009. They did the right thing and put it on their own Dynojet 248 dynamometer before selling it. It lost 4 horsepower at the wheels. It did not gain power. The spacer made the engine worse. So BBK did something almost unheard of in the aftermarket world. They scrapped the entire product line and never sold a single unit. Meanwhile, companies like AirAid and AFE are still selling spacers for $100 or more, and there are generic ones on Amazon for $30 to $50 that are even worse. A member on the 5th generation Ram forums actually measured the bore of his AFE silver bullet spacer and found it was 77 millimeters. The stock throttle body on a 5.7 Hemi is 79 millimeters. His performance upgrade was literally a smaller hole for air to go through. You cannot make this up. These things were built for carbureted engines back in the 1970s. The modern Hemi does not mix fuel and air at the throttle body. Fuel gets sprayed much further down at the intake runners, and that little swirl pattern the spacer creates never even reaches the engine. Save your money. Now let's talk about the upgrade that costs absolutely nothing and beats all of them. Number 5. The free upgrade hiding in your tire valve caps. This one is so boring that nobody makes YouTube videos about it, which is exactly why I'm putting it here. Your Ram 1500's door sticker probably says 35 or 36 PSI. Bump that to 40 or 42 and you will pick up mileage. I know that sounds too simple to be real, but the forum data on this is overwhelming. One owner on the 5th Gen Ram forums documented his 2019 1500 with the 5.7 Hemi and the mild hybrid e-torque system going from 14.8 miles per gallon at 36 PSY to 16.9 at 40 PSY. That's over 2 miles per gallon from turning a valve stem cap. The typical sidewall max on Ram factory tires is 44 to 51 PSY, so 42 is still well inside the safe zone. You will get slightly more road feel through the steering wheel, but on a truck that weighs almost 6,000 pounds, you probably will not even notice. I run 40 PSI on my own truck year-round. The sender tread wear argument is real on passenger cars, but on a heavy truck like a Ram, the weight distribution is different enough that I have never seen it be a problem. Check your pressure cold, first thing in the morning before you drive, and just leave it there. But the next one is going to make some of you angry. Number 4. The most hated system on your Ram is saving you a fortune. Alright, I know this one is going to start a fight in the comments. The multi-displacement system, MDS, on the 5.7 Hemi is the cylinder deactivation system that shuts down 4 of your 8 cylinders on the highway when you do not need full power. Ram owners hate it. They hate the vibration, they hate the exhaust drone, and half the guys I talk to have already paid for a tuner to disable it. The problem is that MDS works, and it works really well. Stellantis claims up to a 20% fuel economy improvement, and the numbers from actual owners back it up. One owner on the Ram forums tested his 2016 Rebel with MDS on versus off, and saw a 3 miles per gallon difference on the highway. 15 to 16 with it active, 12 to 13 without. That matches what a bunch of other Hemi owners reported across multiple forums. Over 75,000 miles, we are talking almost $2,000 in gas savings. I get why people hate it. The drone at highway speed is annoying, and the transition between 4 and 8 cylinders is not always smooth. But if you are watching this video because you care about fuel economy, disabling MDS is like drilling holes in your gas tank to fix a rattle. You are solving an annoyance by creating a much bigger problem. If you are finding this useful, subscribe. I put out Ram content every week, and I do not waste your time with fluff. Now, this next one is a mod that a lot of you probably already installed thinking it would help. Number 3. The $30 part that is secretly making your truck thirstier. If someone on a Ram forum told you to swap your stock 203 degrees Fahrenheit thermostat for a 180 degrees Fahrenheit unit, they gave you bad advice. I know that sounds harsh because the 180 degrees Fahrenheit thermostat is one of the most recommended performance mods for the Hemi. I personally used to recommend it too, until I actually looked at the data. The idea makes sense on paper. A cooler engine should run better, right? But the 5.7 Hemi's engine computer is calibrated for 203 degrees Fahrenheit. When it sees coolant temperatures at 180 degrees Fahrenheit, it thinks the engine has not fully warmed up, and it runs a richer fuel mixture to compensate. One owner on the Dodge forums ran a 180 degrees Fahrenheit thermostat for 7 years, then finally swapped back to the stock 203 degrees Fahrenheit thermostat and immediately picked up 1.5 to 2 miles per gallon. Even at a steady 70 miles per hour on the highway, you are giving up fuel economy with the cooler thermostat. On 2011 and newer trucks, the lower temperatures also delay MDS activation, which compounds the problem. The only way a 180 degrees Fahrenheit thermostat helps fuel economy is if you pair it with a custom tune recalibrated for that temperature. A tune costs $300+, so your $30 thermostat just became a $330 modification. At that point, you are way past the $50 budget, and you might as well look at a full performance package. Stock thermostat, leave it alone. I changed my mind on this one a couple years ago, and I am not embarrassed to say it. Now this next one costs $0, and a lot of Ram owners accidentally threw it away. Number 2. 2 free aero upgrades that Magna International proved work. If you ripped the AIR dam off the bottom of your Ram's front bumper because it looked weird or kept scraping on driveways, I understand. But Magna International, the company that actually designed and manufactured that part for Stellantis, tested it and found that the AIR dam and the grille shutters together save you about 1 mile per gallon on the highway. One Ram forum member tracked his mileage on the same commute before and after removing his air dam and went from 17 to 18 miles per gallon down to 14. That's ugly. I talked about this in my video on Ram Aerodynamics a while back, but it's worth repeating because I still see people yanking these off every week. The air dam directs airflow under the truck instead of into the wheel wells and suspension components, where it creates turbulence. It looks dumb, I agree, but it's doing real work at highway speed. And while we're talking about aerodynamics, keep your tailgate up. Always. Consumer Reports tested a Ram Vive 8 at 65 miles per hour with an inline fuel meter, and the truck lost almost a full mile per gallon with the tailgate down. Your closed tailgate actually traps a pocket of air in the bed, and at highway speed, the wind just rolls right over it. Drop the tailgate and you destroy that pocket. Mythbusters confirmed it. The fast lane truck confirmed it on a 2022 Ram 1500. This is settled. Tailgate up. But the number 1 spot goes to a part so cheap, you'll wonder why you didn't do this years ago. Number 1. 16 spark plugs for $32. The 5.7 Hemi does something that catches a lot of people off guard. It uses 2 spark plugs per cylinder, 16 total. On the pre-2009 trucks that came with copper plugs on a 30,000-mile replacement interval, a full set of 16 Champion copper plugs runs about $32 to $48 depending on where you buy them. That is one of the only genuine bolt-on fuel economy improvements you can make for under $50. One owner on the Dodge forums tracked his 2006 Ram 1500, picking up about 3/4 of a mile per gallon after a plug swap. That does not sound like much until you realize worn plugs were costing him about $200 a year in wasted fuel. The new plugs paid for themselves in 2 months. If you have a 2014 or newer Ram with the factory NGK Iridium plugs, you are out of budget on this one. Those are rated for 100,000 miles, but a full set of 16 runs, about $130 to $160. Still worth it at that mileage, but it is not a $50 job anymore. For the older trucks though, this is the one upgrade on the entire list that you can do in your driveway with basic hand tools, and it makes a measurable difference that you will see at the pump within a week. So look, the pattern is obvious. The mods you can buy for under $50 are almost all garbage. The real fuel economy gains on a Ram come from maintenance, and from stopping the things that are actively hurting your mileage. The free stuff you are already ignoring will do more for your wallet than every Amazon performance gadget combined. I talked about Techron and Redline earlier, but there are 7 injector cleaners that Ram owners keep buying that can actually damage your fuel system. I did a full breakdown of which ones to avoid and the 3 that are worth your money. That video is on screen now. Go watch it.